High on Life really was the dream. It was about feeling good and about, you know, not letting anything stop you and, the whole like dance like nobody's watching. Like don't care about anything else on the side. Like you do you, you be yourself, you have fun, be respectful and courteous along the way, but like don't let anyone talk you out of something or tell you that you can't do it. Like Riker was really big on there's no such thing as you can't. Like you can do anything. What do you want to do? There's a way. Like you just got to figure it out. You got to learn it. The guys never stopped striving to keep learning stuff and to keep bettering themselves, and to keep growing and leveling up and 10xing. The legacy really is in simple terms traveling and having fun. Just having fun traveling and not letting anything get you down or hold you back, to be limitless, if you will.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where you can hear the real stories behind the people on social media. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly. As always, today's podcast is powered by TrueFan. Before we get into today's conversation with Parker Heuser, there's a couple things that we need to go over first. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to leave us a positive rating and review. Share this episode with a friend and subscribe to the show. Put up brand new interviews every single Monday, and a brand new Takeaways episode is an audio exclusive where I sit down and break down the most recent podcast episode of the week every single Thursday. Now, without further ado, I'm very excited to present to you my conversation with Parker Heuser. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly. As always, today's podcast is powered by TrueFan. Today on the show, we are joined by Parker Heuser. Parker is one of the founders of High on Life, pioneers in the travel creator space. They currently have over 640,000 subscribers on YouTube, over 1 million followers on Instagram. I've been following High on Life for probably over 5 years now, which is crazy. I'm very excited to have you here on the podcast today, Parker. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, man. Good to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. Where I want to start, I want to go all the way back to the beginning. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you grew up in Richmond, right? Richmond, BC?
It's correct, yeah.
And Richmond, for the uninitiated, that's like a suburb of Vancouver?
It is. It connects exactly to it via 3 different bridges. It used to be kind of what I thought was a smaller city, 30 years ago, but it has grown exponentially in the last 30 years, and it's now pretty massive. But yeah, I'd call it a suburb of Vancouver.
And it's like, what were you like as a kid growing up?
I was a ADD kind of rambunctious kid who had more energy than he knew what to do with, but also kind of a goofy attitude that was like the opposite of maturity. I was super immature. I kind of still am to a degree, but I know how to like filter what I'm saying and doing. My parents were like, I don't know what to do with you. Let's put you into acting or something, because like you need to go and just be creative and weird and do it in a place that it's okay to do. So that was me as a kid, just like running around off the walls. I wanted to kind of be a stuntman when I was young, and nothing excited me more than setting up a trampoline on the floor and then like a bunch of cushions on the couch and just like running and diving. And that was me.
And so wanting to be a stuntman, is that what led to you taking gymnastics as a kid originally?
Yes. So for some reason, before I had even met any of the other guys with High on Life and stuff, I had always wanted to do a backflip. It's like ingrained in my DNA that I need to be able to do backflips because they're the coolest thing ever, and cool people can do backflips. That was it. So I took gymnastics. However, to be honest, as a 6-year-old kid, they don't teach you to do what you want to learn. They put you through their course, and you get a little bit of experience on the bars and the parallel beams and the balance beam and the springboard and the floor and the this and that. And it's like, okay, so I did this for a couple months and was like, I haven't learned a backflip and no one's teaching me a backflip, so I'm out. And I dropped gymnastics pretty quickly. However, I will be honest that once we went into high school, we found a gymnastics place that had an open gym at like Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening. And so we could just do drop-ins. And that's how we ended up kind of becoming gymnasts, is we'd go to the drop-in gymnastics place and we'd teach ourselves, and we'd see other people that are practicing, whether it's like their own routines or whether it's like practicing stunt fighting and stuff, or like snowboarders would come in and practice their flips on trampolines. Like all sorts of people were doing different things for what they wanted to learn. And here we are just looking around being like, well, that looks cool. Let's go talk to him and learn that. these guys are doing like martial arts. Let's go see what that is. That's a cool trick. Like, I want to learn that. Or, hey, this gymnast is doing this move over and over again, and that looks kind of easy. Like, maybe we can learn it. And so we would just pick and choose what we wanted to learn from all the people there. And everyone was really happy to share and teach what they know to others. And so we've got this weird, broad spectrum of tricks and abilities that we've learned in a safe space with padded floors.
And so I think I read somewhere, this might be wrong, but did you meet Alexey in one of those gymnastics classes? Is that where you first met him?
I'm actually really impressed with your knowledge on High on Life and how this started out. I met him at my mom found a trampoline class when I was 12. And we had a trampoline at the time, and I had learned backflips and front flips and twists and all sorts of stuff. And she found a trampoline class that was like, would you like to go to this? It's not gymnastics, not the same thing. It's focused on trampolining. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to do that. Let's try it out. And that's where I met Alexey. He, I guess he just had the same thing in his mind of being like, I want to do more flips. Flips are cool. And so these two like degenerate kids getting up to trouble and stuff meet at this gymnastics place and start doing all sorts of flips on the trampoline. And we ended up, pushing each other to continue learning new things. And once one of us got a new trick, the other one would have to learn it to catch up, or else we weren't even anymore. And like, we had to like be the same level the whole way through. So that's how it started. But that didn't last long either, until we were like, you know what, we can just do this off of picnic tables or off of garbage cans. And so we're in high school now, and we're like, yeah, let's just find a low hanging roof, and we'll backflip off of that. And hey, let's get the camera. Let's get a camera and film it and make a video of it. So that's really how it all started. It was the two of us doing flips.
And your trampoline was closer to a gymnastics one that was rectangular, right? Like it wasn't the classical circle trampoline?
Yes, I mean it was about the same bouncy factor, because it wasn't a gymnastics grade. Like, those ones are crazy bouncy. Those are awesome. But it was the rectangular Sundance trampolines, the orange ones with the blue pads.
Gotcha. And then so in high school, when you start doing the trips without they're the tricks, sorry, without the trampoline, that's when you met Ryker, right? You guys are all in the same class, French immersion at high school?
We were all in the French immersion program. I don't think I actually had any classes with Ryker in grade 8, like my first year. But he was another kind of ADD, center of attention, class clown kind of guy. And like, we clicked really easily. Like, he and I had a lot in common, Alexey as well. And I mean, I think him seeing us doing flips and we were also, let's be honest, we were watching Jackass and like CKY with Bam Margera and his crew. And we thought that stuff was hilarious, and we wanted to replicate it. And, they all say, don't try this at home, but we're like, screw that. We're trying this at home. Are you kidding me? And it was just funny, goofy. And it was a lot of stuff that other people were like, that looks dumb. I don't want to do that. And Ryker, sure enough, was like, that looks great. I'm in. Let me join in. And so the three of us kind of started doing more and more stuff together. We started going out on our spare time and making videos, like pushing each other in shopping carts and doing bush jumps and stuff, and just being like total degenerates. But that was what was funny to us and what was enjoyable. And like, we're still practicing our flips in the process. So it's like, well, what if we can combine a shopping cart off of a something with a flip and land in a bush, and like, just, next leveling it as much as we could. And that was the basis of us creating videos at the very beginning in high school.
You made 2 1-hour specials, right? And sold them at school for $5 each. I think you called them Dumbass or something like that.
Bro, where are you getting this information? Yeah, absolutely. The first one was like an hour and a half, but it could have been 35 minutes, because we weren't very good at editing back then. Alexey took on the editing stuff, but instead of like cutting and clipping all the extraneous boring shit, he would just fast forward. And so you've got this like 30-minute segment of us cooking some stupid meal that with like dumb ingredients. And instead of just showing like the best 10 seconds of it in intervals, it was just like fast forwarded for an hour and a half. But because it was fast forwarded, it only took 10 minutes. But like 10 minutes was such a waste of time. Anyways, so yeah, we did a couple. We sold them for $3 actually at first, because they were on like CDRs, like just compact discs, not even DVD format. So you needed pretty much a DVD player that could play CDR, or just put it on your computer or something. And so like, our school barely had the capability of playing these videos. So like $3 we thought was fair.
Okay. And then ultimately, like, I'm curious how much of these stunts that you guys are doing would you have done had there not been a camera there to record it all? Like, was that a big motivating factor for you to kind of push the envelope and do more and more stunts?
I feel like this question is centered for the audience listening, and you already know the answer. Absolutely. If the camera's rolling, now you don't have a choice. Now you have to do it. Anytime you got the nerves or you're like scared or nervous about something, I think the line was, dude, the camera's rolling. You're wasting battery. Hurry up and do it. And it's like, okay, he's right. Camera's filming. I got to just go. And that was a huge boost for us to do things. For the most part, it worked out well. Other times was like, you know what? Yep, I wasn't ready to do that. And I just bailed on my ass and I'm going to be sore for 3 days. But that also makes for amazing content because we thought it was funny to fall and to get hurt and like, degenerates, like I said.
Of course, yeah. But you started incorporating video into your schoolwork, right? Like I think I read somewhere like you did Macbeth or something like that. Did a scene for Macbeth on video or something like that. And you did I think over 40 videos over the time in high school because you were the only ones making videos at the time.
Yeah, you're nailing it. This is so funny. I think you know the story better than most of my friends. It's wild. Um, Basically, for school projects, we're like, well, some of these we have an option to write an essay, do a poster board, uh, act out a scene from this book or whatever. We're like, what if we made a video and we could do it at home, record it, edit it together, and then we don't have to perform anything in class or do anything live when it's presentation time. We just throw in the disc and push play and like we're done. And B, we've got our own time to work on things and like get it set up how we want to. And then also what the teachers didn't really like is we used the beginning, the intro and the outro to basically just promote our own dumbass videos. And so like before our school project video started, we'd have like 3 or 4 minutes of us just doing tricks and stunts and dumb things beforehand. And the teachers eventually were like, okay, can you do the next video without the introduction stuff? Because I don't care about that. But yeah, we started incorporating it into our school projects. And then for Macbeth, it was really more like, okay, so we're now 17 and we want to do a really good job. Like, how do we make this creative and unique? Well, Sin City was a really sweet movie that we thought was awesome. Obviously, we went through high school. We learned about the Outsiders and the Socias and the Greasers. We're like, well, the Greasers are pretty sweet with their like leather jackets and like being in gangs and stuff or whatever. Like, let's kind of meld all that stuff together. So we did this black and white video. Our characters, Macbeth, Macduff, everyone's wearing leather jackets. And then we wanted to try to do that like woman in the red dress thing where the red dress actually was in color, whereas the whole rest of the video was black and white. And so like anything, we Googled it, go online, you search, how do I do this with Adobe Premiere? And this is, 20 plus years ago. And we it was shitty quality, but we got the hang of it and we started learning stuff. And that was actually what really like pushed us to keep learning new tricks, is because now we have a criteria. We have somebody saying, here's what you need to do. And then you've got creative freedom around that, but this is the basis. And so we'd start just doing things and trying things, and we'd get better and better. And then we'd start, learning new editing tricks and making it look like a more seamless video. And wow, like this effect looks really good because of this scene and the way we want this to turn out. And the teachers loved it because we were the only people doing this. It was like new. This was the height of technology at the time, I guess, back in 2005. And so we always got really good marks with it, and that just encouraged us even more to keep making videos and learning editing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to hear, right? That like even back in 2005, where I'm sure the tutorials on the internet it wasn't as plentiful as it is today, right? So the ability to learn all this stuff now is just so much easier. But you guys were still figuring it out back, like you said, in 2005, which I think is just important to hear.
Everything came down to, just use the internet, utilize it. This is what it's here for. It's got all the answers one way or another if you can search hard enough for it, and just keep digging until you find out how to do it.
Yeah. And so did you guys make a YouTube channel? Because 2005 would be the beginning of YouTube. Did you make one when you were in high school? Or did that come after when you guys came back from college?
It came after. We obviously knew of YouTube, but we had never seen it as something that we wanted to post stuff on. We didn't see it as a business opportunity at all back in high school. It was more just like random videos and things. It was actually my last year of high school when I finally learned, like, you know what? YouTube is a good source of learning stuff. There's a lot of informational videos on, like, I was playing rugby and I busted my shoulder. Someone was like, and I got my PE teacher to tape it up. He's like, you can actually find like really good videos on YouTube that teach you and show you how to do this. And so if you wanted to tape up your shoulder on your own now, like, you can see videos that'll teach you this. And I'm like, oh, wow, of course there would be. Why wouldn't there be? Anyone can post anything on YouTube. Like, that's really handy. That's helpful. And so it definitely became like a tool that we utilize often for whatever it may be. Usually it was still, dumb entertainment things versus like helpful stuff. But
Yeah. And then so for college, you all went your separate ways, right? And you went to, I have it written down here, Kwantlen Polytechnic University. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but that's where you went to school.
Quantlin,
Kwantlen. Okay. And that, so
Quantlin.
you went for business, right?
Marketing and business. Yeah.
Marketing and business. And then you did 2-year diploma and dropped out before degree. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so why did you end up dropping out? Like, what was the kind of the impetus behind that? I'm curious because I did a very similar thing where I did 2 years, got a marketing diploma, and then I was going to go take a postgraduate and opted out after 2 years and only took my diploma. So I'm curious what led to you doing that.
Okay, so this is probably where the story gets really cool. For me, it was just like I took university or college because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I, pretty much still don't know what I want my end career to be or to look like, but like I've been dabbling in a few different things. My parents were very uh, keen on, no, you finish high school, you go into post secondary. I don't really care what you're taking, but you're going to continue your studies. You're going to keep learning. You're going to keep pushing. Like, finishing high school doesn't mean that you can just sit on your ass and be lazy. So I talked to the counselor at school. I was like, hey, I like English. I like drama. What I don't know what to do in post secondary. And she's like, oh, well, are you any good at math? I'm like, nope. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, I would have said marketing because marketing might fit well with those other things. So I ended up taking marketing because that's pretty much the only thing that stood out from my meeting with the counselor. Um, I didn't enjoy school. I didn't learn much of anything from post secondary. If anything, really, I just got really good at kind of cheating my way through, of being like, all right, so here's what the test is going to be. Yeah, I sat through all the classes. I didn't skip any of schooling. I was always there, but it didn't interest me. It wasn't something that I was easy to absorb and remember. It would go in one ear and out the other. So like I'd go to my classes and I'd have a little cheat sheet and I'd be like, okay, so here's how I can like glance at my notes without anyone seeing. Like, it was not anything that I'm like still, oh yeah, I remember all these things from learning them in university. I don't remember anything from learning in university. For Alexey, this was the really cool one. He didn't want to take post-secondary, but his parents said, well, you need it to make enough money in a job so that you can, have a financially, whatever, free life. And so he started doing it, and he was hating his school. He went to SFU, but then he had this other technique where he would kind of embellish himself on his resumes applying for jobs, get a job, and then when they gave him an assignment that he didn't know how to do, he would do that old technique of going on the internet, looking up how to do this, learn it really quickly, do it, have it on the boss's desk the next day. And it's like he had his credentials. He just did it on the go. It's like that movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio. He's just like fake it till you make it kind of thing, except he was really good at it. So finally he lands a job where he's making more money than his parents are making at their jobs. And he goes back to them. And he's like, so, what about now? Do I still need to keep taking school because I'm now making more money than you guys, and it blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, you know what? If this is working, go for it. Yeah, you don't need school anymore. So he dropped out. I did my diploma and was like, hey, this isn't getting me anywhere, but at least I've got a little piece of paper now that says I've done it. I think my parents are happy. I'm going to move on. And at this point, we just were like, all right, well, let's just get jobs and go live together for a bit downtown Vancouver and see what the next stage of life looks like.
Yeah. And so it was the three of you guys, right? It was you, Alexey, and Ryker moved into one place, 2 bedrooms.
It was a 2-bedroom. The three of us moved in. Ryker was at University of Victoria on the island, and so once he came back, we all kind of finished around the same time with our schooling. And so yeah, the three of us moved in together, and we kind of like rebuilt our passion for making videos. Except this time it was just like, what kind of dumb stuff can we do around the house? Well, our handstands are getting better. Let's do some handstands like on the counter, and let's try to walk from one end of the apartment to the other end of the apartment. Or, hey, there's a park 2 blocks from us. Like, you want to just go out and practice our back flips and back handsprings like we used to do at gymnastics and stuff. And so we would just kind of keep that up. And now Alexey had bought a new camera that he was really happy with, the Canon 60D. And at the time was like a gorgeous camera. It's like ancient now, but we would go and film stuff with that. And we're like, wow, the quality is so much better than our old digital handy cam. And you know what? I'm going to start practicing more edits and like making these photos look really good, making the colors pop, and learning new tricks on what other people with this camera are doing and how they're using it. And just like, Alexey especially was really keen on just like learning on his own. Like, I don't need school to learn. I've got the internet. It's everything I need. It's an abundant source of information. Like, let's utilize it to its best. And so that's what we were doing for a while, living together. I don't know if you're going to ask me, or if I should just segue from here, is when we decided to do our first travel.
Yeah. So I have a couple questions before we get to the first travel.
Sure.
That apartment was, because it was downtown, like you said, 2 bedrooms. There was 3 of you guys.
Yeah.
So you split it 3 ways. I think it was $1,800. So each paying $600. I think you were paying a little less because you didn't actually have a bedroom, right?
That's correct. It's crazy that you have like all the facts, and you're super accurate. It's crazy. I had the solarium, which was just a small box of a room. Would have been lovely to like have plants in it or something, because it was basically 50% windows. But it could fit a small mattress, and that's pretty much what it did. It fit a small mattress. That was my room. And then rent was split for really cheap because of having 3 people in a 2-bedroom.
Yeah. And you also, I think you and Ryker worked nights, right? At a bar. And then Alexey worked during the day. So the impetus of kind of the channel and Sunday Fun Days was, Sunday was like the day you guys could all get together and do stuff. And that's where the name Sunday Fun Days came from.
Haha, no, not really.
No. Okay.
So Ryker was Ryker was the DJ. I was the bartender. So we worked the same busy nights at the same bar. So Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays were the main nights where it was, the club. Alexey was working the day job because that was just the path he was taking at the time. But nonetheless, almost every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, all 3 of us would go out to the bars. Our friends would start coming out because we were kind of like running that bar. It was like our energy was really, really prevalent in that space. And then Sunday Fun Days became a thing because it was the final day of the week. It was the Saturday shift that we finished up. And I think we had a number of people at the bar with us. And so by the time it closed up, we had a few people crash at our house afterwards, because like we've got couches and stuff too. So we woke up on a Sunday morning. Everyone's not like hungover, but like we'd had some drinks the night before. So we've got a little bit of a goofy energy first thing in the morning. And I turned on a Hindi song, the one, Tunak Tunak Tune, and just blasted it in the morning and started singing along. But then Ryker, with his energy, was like, you know what, this is exactly how I want to wake up today too. And so he starts singing along, and now we're both just being goofs, dancing around our kitchen, impromptu, singing this Hindi song to the best of our abilities. And that's the first video that we decided to post on YouTube, pretty much. And because it was a Sunday morning that we did it, I was like, well, hey, Rush, why don't we call it Sunday Fun Days? And he's like, oh, I can't. It's taken. And so I'm like, well, change the S to a Z. Maybe that'll work. And it worked. And so then we became the SFZ name. But of course, it wasn't like our favorite name. And eventually that had molded into High on Life. But that was also the name of the video, was How to Dance When You're High on Life. So High on Life and Sunday Fun Days were the 2 things that we were sort of playing with at the very beginning of when it all started.
And so that first video, you just uploaded it, nothing really happened. And then randomly it took off, right? Like made it to the front page of Reddit. I think this is a throwback. Ray William Johnson talked about it too, right? Like, and then your channel, just like that video just started blowing up, right?
Yeah. So I don't know exactly what triggered the onslaught of events, but at some point randomly, we just kind of, and I think we maybe had like 10 videos on there. They were all really lame. Like, I see a piece of cheese in the background. I get on my hands and I walk over in a handstand and like dip down and eat the cheese and like get up, like just random stupid stuff. But at one point, I guess when I think probably Alexey was kind of looking at our views, he's like, whoa, this video's just tripled in the last day or whatever. Like, that's weird. Um, I'm going to assume maybe Reddit kind of was on the forefront of posting that and causing this whole thing to start. But then at the same time, it was on a number of different websites. It was on like break.com, which maybe at the time was like Big Boys or something like that. And, eventually Pinterest picked it up and stuff too. And so it blew up from there. Ray William Johnson was a huge one because I think at the time he and like Jenna Marbles were the biggest YouTubers around pretty much. And so yeah, equals 3 was his like tagline or whatever. That's what he used, and he put us on there and talked about it, and everything that was going on just kind of helped blow it up. And then all of our friends from high school would be like, yo, my parents are Indian and they were watching this video and they showed it to me and it's you, like, what the hell? And so like now we're getting all this stuff coming from every angle about this video, and we're like, all right, well, something worked, it went viral, like this is really cool, what do we do? I don't know what to do with this now.
Is it true that at one point when it was going viral, you guys put up 40,000 new subscribers in 2 days?
Yeah.
That's insane. And so like, cause this was 2010, 2011.
Yeah, so this would have been, I think, 2011. And if I'm being completely transparent with you, I don't remember exactly what the numbers were. But
That's fair.
I,
I mean,
I, I
it's
think
been a little
40, I
while.
think 40K in like 48 hours is about accurate, give or take. But yeah, pretty much. And at the time, going from like 5,000 subscribers, getting that kind of viewership was huge. So like we noticed.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then so shortly after that you decided to travel. And like the video itself wasn't the reason that you traveled. Like from my understanding, it was kind of you guys realized you all went from, other than Alexi, of course, but you went from high school to college and then just kind of into life, and you didn't want to get bogged down with life. And that was kind of the reason you took that first big trip, right?
Yeah, there were a number of different smaller reasons, and everyone had their own kind of thing. But the one that really resonates with me the most, and what I think is the biggest one, was Ryker was at the bar, and he wasn't anymore just the DJ. He became the entertainment manager, and he started getting more and more, locked into this job. And he was now going in day shifts to like line up different bands and artists to come and perform and do things or whatever at the bar. And he was like, this is turning into a career, and like I'm making good money doing it, but at the same time, like I don't want to be stuck here in this job from now for the next 10, 15, 20 years. He's like, I need to go travel, I need to see the world, I need to just scratch this itch of mine that is like what's on the other side of the world. So it was his rationale that really got me to be like, yeah, well, I'm personally not worried about getting stuck in a career right now. I'm just bartending here, but I also would love to go travel. I want to see the other side of the world. I want to go to Australia. When my brother finished high school, before he did university, he went to Australia. And so I was like, Australia is sweet. They speak English. It's the other side of the world. It's hot, beaches. Like, why not? There's no reason why not. And so it was just because like we wanted to not get stuck in our careers before going and seeing the world. So we're like, let's do it. We booked tickets to, we were about to book tickets to Australia. We didn't actually book them yet.
Prior to that, you hadn't done a lot of travel at all either, right? Like you guys decided to go to the other side of the world without a ton of travel experience, right?
Yes. I mean, Alexey is from Ukraine. So he moved to Canada at 8. And he and I both actually, when we were 15, went to Japan together through an exchange with school. So we had done Japan. And then at the very last year of high school, I went to like Dominican Republic with my brother. I had a cabin in the States. So I've been across Canada, America border a number of times. But I mean, it was limited travel experience. But I had been to foreign places where I don't speak that language. So like had a bit of an understanding.
Fair enough. And then so what was supposed to be a trip to Australia, you guys were supposed to move there, get jobs and kind of travel around Australia, ended up being a trip that never once made it to Australia, right?
That's correct. Things kept changing and adjusting along the way, that our initial plan never came to fruition at all.
Yeah. And so first country was India, right? Because your friend got married or had a relative was getting married or something like that.
Yep. So my friend, Indian, really close friend, good guy, he always at the bars with us on our weekend parties. His cousin was getting married, and it's, an Indian wedding is a pretty big thing, especially compared to North American weddings. So it was a 4-day event. It was going to be massive. I don't know what the family had lined up in terms of like big event space and blah blah blah, but it was going to be huge and they knew it. And so he goes, well, dude, my family knows of your guys' video and they think it's funny, and they speak that same language, so like obviously they've shared it around. I think they'd love to have you guys out if you wanted to start your trip in India and get a big step across the world before you go to Australia, and just start there, and like I'll go with you and we can do a month and just like travel India. So we're like, yeah, what we were on the decision of like, why say no to anything? Let's go for it. It's a new opportunity. We have no idea what to expect, but we've got like a tour guide with us, a guy who can speak the language and has been to India before. Let's go for it. So we started in India. We did the wedding. Then we just continued to travel around. We went up to the Himalayas and we're like, well, this is really cool. This is crazy. Let's see what this is all about. And funny enough, we would see people in the Himalayas who were like speaking Russian. We saw people in the south in Goa who were speaking Russian, and like Alexey speaks Russian, so that helped. Like now Russian was the main like language that we had to utilize to communicate with people. It's super strange, but this is the part of learning of like, well, we don't know this culture here. We don't know what the setup is and what kind of people are around. So like this is us learning. We were super ready to learn everything and anything that the world had to teach us.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you had to do the dance at the wedding as well.
Yep, you bet we did. You bet we did.
And probably didn't plan to get salmonella at the wedding though, right?
Oh man, he's good. He's good. No, I mean, I'm a meat eater. I love chicken and stuff. And frankly, I love anything that's food. But at one point, my buddy Arjun, who we were there with, he was like, you know what? I think the chicken's undercooked. I just gave the chefs a really hard time, but like, don't eat any more of that chicken. And so I'm like, okay, like I'll probably be fine. It was too late for me already. Like later in that evening, I was just like, man, I really don't feel good. I feel queasy. Face was flushed and white, and ended up having to remove myself for a while because I couldn't keep anything down for a bit. That was a tough 24 hours.
I can imagine. Yeah. And so you said from India was to the Himalayas, and from the Himalayas was to Thailand, I believe.
Thailand was next. Yeah. So as we were getting ready to book our flights out of India, we were like, well, is there anywhere else we want to go? Like closer than Australia? Like, Thailand was a big one because we had heard Thailand is the place to go if you want really cool, cheap knockoff stuff. It's more, hot, humid beaches, islands, like really cool place. We knew some people who had traveled there and had an awesome time and spoke nothing but good about Thailand. So we're like, yeah, let's go check it out. Like it sounds amazing. So that was next on our list. And once we hit Thailand, we met enough people that were like, oh yeah, we're just finishing up like the circuit. We're like, what's the circuit? And they're like, oh yeah, you can just go from Thailand down to Cambodia, across to Vietnam, and then up to Laos, and then back to Thailand. And you just do those 4 countries. That's the circuit. We're like, okay. And like, obviously we're talking to them about what they've got in their stories of like, how was this place? How was this place? And they're giving us like all this information about, oh, okay, when you're in the south of Cambodia at Sihanoukville, like don't go to Serendipity Beach, go to Otris Beach and try to stay here and you'll see, and like more information than we knew what to do with. So like I get my little diary book out that I brought with me and I'm just journaling everything that these people are saying. And so I had like this breakdown of how to do the circuit. And then that's what we started to do. So we actually overstayed our time in Thailand by a couple of days, and we had to pay a little bit of extra on the way out because we weren't allowed to stay that long, but we were having the best time of our lives for sure. I'm not going to jump into everything yet. I'll let you keep.
Yeah, no worries. There's a certain island in Thailand that holds a special place in your heart, right?
There are 2.
2? How come?
I don't know if you're referring to Koh Tao or Koh Phi Phi.
I think I'm referring to Koh Tao.
And why? What are you trying to get at?
I read or watched something where it was, I can't remember where it was, like one of your favorite place to travel or the favorite place you've been. And I think Koh Tao was the answer that was given.
Koh Tao would have been the answer we choose. Yeah. It was one of the smaller islands of the ones that we went to. Other ones being Koh Samui and Koh Phangan. But Koh Tao was not like as party as some of the other ones. Koh Phangan is where the full moon party is held. So that one was like, yeah, that was an amazing experience, but I don't want to do that again for the next 5 or 10 years. Like that was a little too much. It's a mess. So many people just like being negligent with their garbage and trash and, pissing in the ocean like everywhere. And you're like, okay, seen it once, don't need to do that again. Koh Tao was just north of that island, only like an hour and a half ferry ride. And it was chill, it was nice. We did some scuba diving there for the first time and like finally saw the underwater world. And it was like, wow, sure, I've seen videos and stuff, but like seeing this stuff in person and being able to breathe underwater for the first time for over an hour is like a really life-changing experience. Like this was so cool. And I guess the people that we met combined with everything else, and rented scooters and a dirt bike as well, because now we're like, well, let's go bigger, let's get a 500cc whatever. So we had a really good time at Koh Tao, and it was less aggressive crazy party, more just like we can do whatever we want here and take our time and relax. And if we want to go to the little club area, like there are some happening bars, but if we want to just go and be in the middle of nowhere and have some peace and quiet, we can do that. So Koh Tao was one of those ones we were supposed to go for a couple days, and we stayed for like a couple weeks. Koh Tao is probably the real reason why we were overstayed our welcome in Thailand.
Okay. And throughout the trip, like obviously there's going to be a good mix of both, but did you find yourselves opting more for kind of the quiet and the peace over the party scene, or how did that end up going throughout the whole trip?
No, if you had to pick one over the other, we would have opted for the party scene. Let's be honest, we're like 23 at the time. So like we're in our prime of let's go party and have fun. And then we were a group of four by the end of Thailand, because one of our buddies from Calgary who went to school with Ryker wanted to do the exact same thing as us. Like, I don't want to start working in a career right away. Like, I saved up some money working on the oil rigs. I'm going to come out and travel with you guys for a bit. So then we were four in Thailand, and it kind of was like, if anyone wants the peace and quiet, you can just go off and do your own thing and find that really easily. But if you're ready to have fun and adventure and explore and have some drinks and meet some new people and get up to shenanigans, like, we're all doing this together as a team. So for the most part, it was just like, keep doing as much as possible.
Yeah. And it was in Thailand where the first mock-ups of the tank tops were done, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Alexey had always wanted to create some clothing. He and his girlfriend used to like draw up some sample stuff back in high school, and they never made anything of it, but like it was always in the back of his mind. And then sure enough, he's like, well, Thailand, you can make a whole bunch of stuff for pretty cheap. And like compared to Canada, America, North American prices, like this is the way to do it in my mind, especially getting started and learning the ropes. So we went to a couple different malls, I guess, that had places where you could order like bulk numbers of tank tops and singlets and shorts and things like that. And I guess at the time that was the easiest and cheapest. And we also liked the fact that everything was bright colors and neon and whatever. And that was like the Thailand thing. So we started just to look into like, let's create our own thing, our own little brand name or whatever. We'll do this Sunday Fun Days High on Life thing on these shirts and shorts and blah, blah, blah. And so we just kept to colorful neon. This is like Thailand. Over the course of the next few years, we ended up getting products from different places that sort of represented that place. Like Peru, we had alpaca wool mittens and socks and hoodies and stuff. So like that was the first of our clothing, and it resembled our experiences in Thailand.
Mm-hmm. And like at the time, so you start the clothing line, you're filming the whole time, but the intent behind the trip, like you guys weren't going to make it a business at the time, right? Like that wasn't the plan. Like it kind of happened after the trip when you got home and you realized people started kind of tuning in more and more for the travel content, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, everything that we were doing at first was just like, let's do this for fun. I want to try something new. Hey, this is a good place to try and make some clothing, some shirts. Like, let's just see what happens. I don't mind dropping a few $100 here and there. Like all of us drop $200 and we get, however many items of clothing. And then one day we just kind of like put up an ad on I don't know if it was on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever, but we're like, hey, we've got some swag now. Like, check it out if you want. You can buy it. And, overnight we sold like 2 or 3. And we were like, holy crap. Like we actually just made some money. Like people actually are buying this stuff, or people like this, like how crazy. And so then we started to maybe push it a little more, promote it, and then now we're wearing our shirts in all of our videos and our tank tops and doing tricks and flips and like doing what we can, I guess, to promote it and show people like you can have these shirts too. Like this is a new thing we're trying out. Like let us know what you think. So it turned into something. It was a slow start, obviously, but like we're testing the waters with all these different things.
Mm-hmm. And then so after the circuit, because you did the full circuit, right? And then you went up to Ukraine, I believe, right? And that was during the Euro Cup. Was when you were there?
Yeah.
And then do you have some good stories about Euros? Is that what that smile was for?
No, the smile is just how well you know. Like I've never met you before. I've never spoken to you before, but you know my life for the last like 15 years. So it's funny to hear. It's interesting. I'm honored.
Oh, thank you.
Flattered.
For the record, this isn't like information I just walk around with like a part of my day-to-day life. Like I did do a ton of research, so I was prepared coming into this. Like I'm not, just like if you asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would have had no idea. But
okay,
it's been
cool.
Research.
Yeah. Nonetheless, though, like you're really picking, like you're fine tuning your information. Like you've got it down. You've really nailed it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But where I was going with, so when you got to Europe, the traction had really started to grow on social, and then you guys got picked up by Kentucky, right? And that was kind of your first exposure to the life of travel influencers, for lack of a better term.
Yep. Nope. That's You're setting this up beautifully for me. So we got an email from Kentucky saying, hey, you know what? We love what you guys are doing. We love the videos. We noticed that you guys are traveling. You're on the road. You've been in 5 different countries in the last 3 months or 4 months or whatever. How would you like to come on a tour with us? It's going to be a media trip. And we're like, well, I don't know what a media trip is or what that means, but absolutely, we would love to do anything that you're offering for us. We're going to say yes to all of these opportunities. So we go on this trip. It was a 1 week through Budapest, Vienna, Prague. And we were with a bunch of other, you can call them influencers now, but that term was not coined back then. No one knew what an influencer was. So some people were working with TV productions. Some people were bloggers. Other people were doing YouTube as well. And we just basically had this big coach full of people who were posting and creating content for the internet in one facet or another. And that was like our introduction to this world. And so Kentucky put us up on that trip, and we had such a good time. Everything was taken care of for us. Hop on the bus, the tour guide tells you where we're going, what we're doing, what this is all about, the history behind this place and this building. Let's go do this fun activity. Or we're in Hungary. Let's go to this spa because these sea salt baths are like really famous here, and let's go out for dinner here and have this really nice viewpoint dinner. And like it was the good life. Like we'd never really had a hookup like that before, where we're just so well taken care of, and money is not an issue because this company is a company that's been around for a long time and they're successful. So then the 1 week is up, and we're about to leave or to head home or to figure out where we're going to go to next. But they actually intercepted us and were like, would you guys be interested in doing another trip and making more videos and content for our brand? And we're like, yes, we would love to do another trip. This one was in Greece. It was an island hopping tour. And we were going to actually be on the trip with people who were paying to travel, not to create content or anything. So it was going to be a little different. So they, gave us a heads up like, hey, you can't just stick a camera in anyone's face because these people didn't sign up for that. So like, please be delicate and careful around who you're doing what with. And anyways, sure enough, we show up on the trip and no one's got a problem with it. We're big energy people with cameras and doing flips. So everyone's kind of already like, oh, I want to do what they're doing. I want to go hang out with these guys because they seem like a ton of fun. And we're just, living our best lives for that trip. And that was another 2 weeks hopping around Greece until finally that trip ended, and we kind of were like, well, let's pop over to Italy for a bit because Italy looks cool, and hey, maybe we'll do a little stint in Germany. But now we're super broke. We've got no money left. Like we had saved up as best we could leading up to that whole thing, and Kentucky obviously was able to keep us floating around a lot longer on a budget. But like now we're broke. Like our credit cards are starting to build up debt, and it's like, hey, we got to go home and get jobs like everyone else.
Yeah, and kind of to your point too about that early Kentucky tour, where like that wasn't that wasn't like a commonplace thing to do a tour like that. I was reading an old blog about that Kentucky tour, and it wasn't the word vlogs wasn't even it wasn't like a one full word. It was like vlogs was the word used of like v dash log, like just to prove like how early. That's why when in the intro I said like travel creator pioneers, because like you guys were really kind of at the forefront of all of this as it was happening, which I think is super cool. But then you said, so you come back. Another thing, too, to your point being broke, like I think I have written down here somewhere a copy paste from another blog post is after 6 months, we were broke, 7 months, we were in debt, and then it was time to go home at that point.
That's
Um,
completely accurate.
what's the plan when you get home? I think some of you guys, I think Ryker ended up making the trek out to Australia, but you and Alexey went and moved home, right?
Yeah, so Riker had one or two at least. He had a few friends in Australia at that time. And so he was like, well, you know what? I want to go and do this Australia thing. It's been on my mind forever. And, kind of like what I said earlier, he was, in my opinion, the real reason we went out to try this new lifestyle. He wanted to see Australia. He wanted to get to the other side of the world. He had the travel bug more than the other two of us, I think. Hard to say, but like in my opinion, he was really the one who was like, I gotta go do this. Um, so Alexi and I got jobs. I was bartending again at another place or another two different places or whatever. Alexi was doing maybe some SEO, search engine optimization stuff, and kind of stuff that actually could help him with High on Life in the future. And then we got our place downtown, which was, we called it the Penthouse, and it was 4 bedroom and in this like the top of this old rickety building in kind of a shady area, and like price was right, and we took no time for us to fill it with some friends, and so now we have 5 people living in a 4 bedroom, completely affordable because of the numbers and the share. And then that was like our creative space. We were always filming, we were always hanging out together, we're always coming up with new ideas and brainstorming, and like it was a fantasy factory on a small scale.
Yeah. And so was the with that fancy factory, was the plan to try and grow High on Life? Like, did that become the focus after that trip once you realized that the audience was there and they wanted more from you?
Yes, we also realized, because we were living, the three of us, in a 2 bedroom earlier, that this was a helpful way for us to keep making content, because it was our energies combining together that really gave us this personality and this brand that people could resonate with, and people could see how well we like intricated ourselves with one another. And I could play off of Riker's energy, and Alexi could play off of mine, and it would just be this circle of us just having this really cool relationship. But then now we have the addition of Max, who was with us for most of that big trip around Europe. So he was living there, and then our other friend Ben was in for a little bit, and he's like the computer guy. He knows coding. He used to work at Guess for a long time and managed that. So he got computers and clothing. So he was like our main guy to help out with all the merchandise stuff. And at this point, we're like, well, let's step it up. Like let's. At first, we were receiving all of these shirts from Thailand, and then when people made orders, we would box them up, put them into little things, slap a sticker on it or whatever, and put it off to the side. We would made it like an assembly line. We'd have friends come over, we'd feed them pizza and beer, and we'd have everyone just do this for like a few hours until all the orders are processed. But then we are like, hey, let's get a fulfillment house. There's obviously going to be a third party company that does this, that can save us a lot of hassle every week, whatever. And so we just had this like really cool team um, energy working on this stuff together, that we were now able to like put focus on certain areas, as well as keep the energy high and keep the creative aspect flowing, and like just keep making more stuff.
And there was also an entertainment division, right? You guys started hosting parties as High on Life within Vancouver too, right? Around that time?
Yeah. So I had bartended a number of bars downtown. Riker had DJ'd a number of bars downtown. And then Ben also was, he was in the club scene as well, whether it was like nightclub photography or other various things. And he knew people as well. So between like the three of us, we really knew a lot of the nightlife scene one way or another. And through different hookups and different jobs that we've had, we were able to kind of be this side company, High on Life Entertainment, that was able to throw parties and like one-off events. And because we also had a bit of a following, around the world slash in Vancouver, people would come out to these things being like, oh, cool, High on Life's throwing this big party. It's called the Circus. Like, they've got body painted women that look like tigers. They've got a contortionist on stage. Like, they have this like lion tamer woman who sings really beautifully. She was like the singer for one of the main nightclubs, the Roxy at the time. And so we'd put these nights together, and they were always themed, and it was always something that Vancouver had never really seen before. One of the club's celebrities, we did an event called Candyland, and we set the whole thing up like a Hansel and Gretel gingerbread house almost, and like there was candy everywhere, and everything looked like candy. And so we would just do these different things that we had the energy and the vision to create that no one was really doing. And so we tried that out for a while, and that was really fun. And that turned into like creating a High on Life sound page on YouTube. And so Ryker started using his DJ skills to like create these hour-long playlists every week and post on there. And so we had so much stuff going on at the same time, we almost didn't know where to put our focus.
Yeah, because you had, I think it was monthlies at celebrities, and then you did weeklies at venue, right? Like in terms of throwing parties and stuff.
Yeah, it was weeklies at venue. Celebrities was kind of monthlies, but it wasn't like every month. We only did like a handful really at celebrities, but it varied. And then we started, doing some other things at like Sidecar and Cabana, and the Pint, another one. So like we're doing stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then you guys also took it around that time. This was so post first big trip. You guys took a couple trips down to VidCon, right? And you got to meet and kind of network with other creators who were doing this full time, right? Like at the time, it would have been Viners and YouTubers, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So I hadn't heard of VidCon. I didn't really know what it was, but people were talking about it, and I think Alexey and Ryker probably knew a bit about what it was all about. And let's go check it out. We can do a road trip down to California, and I don't know if we were invited to it or if we bought tickets or what. I'm not really sure, but we went and checked that out, and we met some big time YouTubers and stuff. So the big ones for us at the time was Roman Atwood, who does like pranks and stuff. Furious Pete, who was like a bodybuilder slash a bunch of Guinness World Records for eating and drinking things like fast. He was an impressive character. We met the guys from Simple Pickup, which we thought was really cool at the time.
That's a throwback. Holy shit. Simple
Yeah,
Pickup. Man,
right.
that's crazy. Yeah. I remember
I
that
won't
channel.
I won't talk about it too much just now, but Simple Pickup also started a digital product called Jump Cut. And that, I think, was kind of what gave us the idea of like, hey, we need to do a digital product too. We need to start selling something, explaining and teaching people how to do ABC. So that was like a special note right there. Is what they were doing was what we were like, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. What are some other things you learned from some of those bigger creators, whether it be just about the process or making that jump to full time? Like, what are some of the takeaways you had from those trips down to VidCon?
Well, I probably shouldn't say this, but VidCon kind of drove me crazy because of the type of people that were there, the screaming fans. Like, you see some kid who's got a ton of followers on one platform or another, and he walks into the room and you're just standing there having a conversation with someone, but then you just hear this like horde of young girls screaming and chasing, and he starts running and he covers his head, and you're like, oh my God, who is that and why is this happening? Like, this is outrageous. I don't want to be around this kind of people. Like, I don't like this much attention and this much stuff going on. But we did learn a lot of cool stuff. We got to see what everyone else was doing, what people were filming with, how they were making it work with, different types of cameras and different types of equipment. We started learning about glide cams and how to use like stabilizers with the camera to make these really cool shots, and different programs that people are using and stuff. I don't have like any specific interesting information to share about what we learned at VidCon, but like a lot of stuff just by collaborating with people and talking to different people and learning, we learned more. It's a stupid sentence, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's been a few years, so I don't. I guess a dumb question to ask you to be like the specific things you learned 6 years ago at a random like weekend. But were there any brands at VidCon? Like, because you guys started working more and more with brands. Like, I know you started working with Red Bull and stuff. But did you get the chance to network and meet with brands at VidCon, or is it mainly just creators there?
It was mainly creators. I mean, I guess there were brands there, but we didn't do anything in particular getting linked up with new brands and stuff. It was really just like this guy does these kinds of videos and these two guys do this kind of video, and like there's Jenna Marbles. We know what her videos are all about. And oh, there's this guy. So like it was mostly just creators in particular. We didn't do a lot with brands. We hadn't really broken into the brand reach out game at that point either. We didn't know how to contact them or how to like create a relationship with brands at the time.
When did you guys figure that out? Because I found read somewhere that it was like once you guys realized you didn't have to play defense, you go on the offensive when it came to brands and start reaching out to them. That's when things really picked up for you. And one video I know, I think like someone, I think it might have been Alexey, said you guys have had 6-figure brand deals. Like when did that tide start to turn, or when did you really start to level up when it came to working with brands?
So I don't know what the exact timeline was, but it would have been a few years after the first VidCon, and we had taken a little break from the clothing, and it was kind of doing its own thing naturally now, and we didn't have to put too much attention on it. We were getting the odd free stuff from companies like Red Bull, for example. They're like, hey, you want to just have Red Bulls in your videos and stuff? Like, we'll send you a bunch of things. And we got all these cases of Red Bull. We're like, sweet, I love it. We're not making any money off of it, but like we're getting free product. Some other clothing companies would give us some stuff, and we were getting free trips. And they're like, hey, you want to come do this one over here in Croatia? And we're like, absolutely, this is great. But at the same time, even if the trip is free, you're still spending money on different things the entire way through. And let's be honest, like we kind of needed an income to supplement everything that we were doing still. So, I was doing the odd bar shift here and there, and I think Ryker still had a couple random DJ gigs here and there just for like easy cash while we were figuring out how this all worked. And then we realized, like, you know what? We're just waiting for companies to reach out to us with opportunities, but like we don't have to. Like we've now done a few different deals with people, and now we see how we can do it ourselves. We know what they're looking for. We know what they want out of a partnership from their end, because we can see it from their side of things, how this benefits them. What if we reached out to people and, offered them before they even talked to us about how we can benefit them as a business? And so we started going on the offense. That was it. The guys, Ryker and Alexey, actually looked. They did that Wolf of Wall Street course. Either you buy or you die, and like intense sales techniques and how to get in front of the right people and how to do a pitch and how to write a proposal and how to all this stuff. And so they took that to heart, and then they started reaching out to other companies. And I think the first big success with that was Travel Alberta, which is the province beside BC. And we had seen their statistics for like the previous years and what their budget was on like social media influencers and stuff like that, and what their demographics were. And so we studied what they're utilizing and what was working and what wasn't working. And then we were able to pitch ourselves and cover all these things that we could see they had a need for or a desire for. And so in our pitch, when they first heard it, they were like, oh, wow, that's hitting all of the boxes. Like, this is exactly what we're looking for. And so it worked out. We got a brand deal with them, and we did all this cool stuff during the Calgary Stampede. And we're like behind the stages with the bull riding, and we're doing some bobsledding on their like luge track. And we're like, this is amazing. And we got paid for it because we pitched it in a way that we would get some money and it would benefit them. And so everyone wins. And once that came through, we're like, you know what, this is amazing. Let's do this for everybody. Like, who do we want to work with? Now we can figure out who we want to work with, how we want to do it, why, the where, the when, how much, like, and we just started fine tuning from there once we realized, like, we can make this call ourselves. We don't have to keep waiting for them to reach out to us. So that opened it all up.
You kind of tried to take that approach and kind of copy and paste it to all the different ones. So you would have specific, like personalized pitches to each of these brands you were reaching out to.
Yes, absolutely. Every pitch was catered to that specific brand.
Which I mean, like obviously takes more time, but you guys probably saw 10x the results you would have if it had just been like a carbon copy paste pitch every single time. Like if it had been the same one to all the different brands.
Absolutely. There are certain things that it's just a numbers game. You need to reach out to as many people as you can and just fire them off. But there's other things where it's like, no, if you want this to be more successful, you need to target them and target them in a way that is going to be appealing to them and it's going to still benefit you. And you're willing to do this kind of work. And, sometimes they would be like, well, we'll give you $1,000 to do this. And then we'd kind of come back and say, well, what if, you gave us 5,000 and we offered this and this, and then sometimes they say no, and sometimes they're like, okay, yeah, sure, and we're like, holy crap, we just leveled up, and then now we're learning how to like upsell a little bit and offer new things, and then we're kind of coming up with like different package deals when we reach out to brands saying, okay, so instead of just this one thing, like you've got options, you can do A, B, or C. It's more work or less work for us, and you get more benefit or less benefit depending on different platforms that you want to use. And yeah, we just fine tuned for a long time, a couple of years, until we started to really get into the swing of things.
Yeah. And when you did reach out to brands, was it like, did you have like a pitch deck you would attach, or what did that look like kind of like tactically?
Uh, Pretty much, we created like a big sort of proposal document, like a PDF, 5-6 page thing. So who we are, what's our story. Next page was like other brands that we've worked with. Next page is here's our statistics and our demographics on various platforms. So here's our Vine, here's our Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And so that was showing them A, like our credentials, B, how long we've been doing this, who we've been working with, so that they kind of know like, all right, these guys are legit. We've got links to all of our stuff. So you can at any point click on a link and watch us and see what we've been creating for the past few years. And so it was very easy for them to make a decision because we had everything perfectly laid out in that, proposal brochure almost.
Yeah. And I'm curious, what did your families think kind of as this whole thing is as this whole thing is happening? Like, was it more so kind of skepticism at the beginning, but as all the money starts coming in, they're more on board for it? It was like, what was the reaction from friends and family?
So it changed throughout the process 100%. At first, we were young enough that our parents were kind of like, you know what, you guys are having fun doing some dumb video things. Like, I don't see money coming from this, but you know what, like, you're you're not even 23 yet. Like, go ahead, try some stuff out, be creative. They were always very supportive. And then once our that first video went viral, our parents were like, well, I don't really know what going viral means, but it's being shared across the world and this many people have seen it now. Like, that's kind of a big deal. I think you guys are excited. Keep going. And then once we kept fine tuning and working with other brands, and like obviously our parents are like, oh, where's Parker going this week? Oh, he's off to Iceland. You're like, okay, yeah, fair enough. Like, he would. He just keeps going on these weird trips, but okay, cool. So they kept seeing that we're doing all these sweet trips and that we've got all these amazing stories, and we come back and we can tell them like 1,000 things about different stuff that they're like, I'll probably never learn that in my life. So like, you know what, how could they not be supportive? I think there were a few times where they're like, so how are you going to really monetize this, and how are you gonna my parents were less on the business side of things. They were more just like, you know what, if you're enjoying this and you're having fun with your friends and you can make a living off this, go for it. We support you. I think Ryker's dad, especially in particular, was like, okay, so how do we turn this into a business? How do we make this work? And I don't really know who Alexey was talking with that maybe gave him some pointers or bits of advice, but one way or another, none of our parents knew this industry. We didn't know the industry. We're learning it as we go, but they could see that it was working one way or another, and they were obviously nothing but supportive the entire process.
Did adding the business part, like obviously it's great to be making money, but did that take away from the experience at all? Because once they say like once you try to monetize your passions is when they kind of lose their that luster. So did that happen for you guys, or was there really no impact once you started trying to make money off of it?
I would say no impact. Okay, I'll say this right here clearly. Ryker and Alexey were like big time dreamers. They had ideas, visions, and they would stop at nothing to see them through. So even just being like alongside those two guys, they would always know what to do next, or what they wanted to do next, or what the next few steps should be. And like, this is what we're going to do. Let's go. And they were driven, they were passionate, they were motivated, and it was contagious. And so like it got me on board, got our other friends on board, and we're all just doing this stuff basically because of what these two guys' visions were. Um, we I don't think we really slowed down at any point. If anything, it just kept getting busier and busier and more complex, and learning new ways, and then, outsourcing more different things so that we could focus on other different things. And um, yeah, it never slowed, and the passion never really stopped, because a lot of the time it's new stuff that we hadn't done before, and in the process of doing new things, it's exciting. If you go to a new country, you're never going to lose the passion because you haven't been here before. So you're learning, and you're experiencing, and you're educating yourself, and you're meeting new people, and you're learning new cultures. And it's just like overload. It's like a constant overload. So it could never get boring, or like lose the flame.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense. And in terms of like specifically with, obviously there's so many things you're learning, like just setting up the business and everything, but also from the social media perspective, like you're in a brand new industry. So you're kind of figuring out along with everyone else. And I think you mentioned how Alexey was doing some stuff when you came back from that first trip with SEO. And I think you started to apply that to the High on Life channels probably around 2014-ish, because that's when all those top 10 videos, I know, because I went back, like I scrolled through the full catalog, and around 2014 is when those top 10 videos started to really crop up, and they all started to do well. So did you start applying some of those SEO things he was learning to the High on Life content?
So I'm glad that you mentioned that. This was probably the piece that I forgot to mention earlier when it came to the YouTube VidCon and YouTube creator space. We had a contact with YouTube that kind of said, listen, you guys have a ton of footage. You've done all this traveling and stuff. Realistically, you don't need to necessarily keep making new content. I would say you guys have a good opportunity to repurpose some of the content that you already have. And he was the guy who told us, right now top 10s are doing quite well. They're quite successful with a lot of things. And you guys have been to, so many countries. Do some top 10s of these countries. And so we're like, okay, cool. And, Alexey had, after one of our trips, he'd kind of gone into hibernation mode and just was editing for like months at a time, just getting everything he can into the way he wanted it to be. And so we'd start doing interviews with ourselves, and we'd set up the camera on a tripod, and we would kind of have two of us side by side, and we'd talk about, this was the top 10 things to see in Thailand. And we'd list pretty much just the places that we had been. Now, in all honesty, it wasn't ever going to be the top 10 best of anything, because it was only what we had done. And there was no way we were going to actually see the entire country of anything. We haven't even seen 2% of our own country. Canada is huge. And so we just posted it in a way that, of the things that we did, here's what we recommend you do. But we called it top 10s. So it could be things to see, things to do. Could be top 10 foods, could be top 10 whatever. And so we did this huge top 10 series for, I don't know, I guess the next few months. And those had performed quite well. And then, I'd actually go to certain places. I was in Bali one time staying at a hostel by myself. This is like after I had split up with the rest of the guys, and we were all doing our own thing for the last couple of weeks of Indonesia before heading home. And some guy had seen me and was like, dude, you're Parker from High on Life? Like, no way. I'm here because of your top 10 video. Or I saw your Thailand video and like decided I had to go to Thailand, and then I made it here. And like, now we started to get people who were saying, like, because of these videos, I'm traveling and I just met you. Like, oh my God, it's really cool. So it was really humbling to hear the effect that we've had on other people, and how it got them out and traveling and like just living their best life. And the feedback was all really positive. And that was a huge thing for us, is that not only are we just doing this and having fun, but like we seem to be positively affecting other people's lives, and we're getting this feedback. People are saying this to us, and it's like really humbling, and we feel super good about that. That was like an extra bonus, like drive for us to keep doing what we're doing.
And so what are some of the ways that you fostered that community? Because so many people post content, but I don't think not everyone builds a community the way you guys did it. So what was it about High on Life that had so many people attached to it? Like, how'd you build that community?
A number of different ways, and throughout the years, it varied. So starting off, I guess the name High on Life it's an attitude. It's a way of living. So anyone can encompass this theme in their own lives or see it in other people's lives and recognize it. We When we started doing our travels, this is before even the Kentucky trip, we decided to make our videos interactive. And so we were posting weekly videos, Thailand, Cambodia, and stuff. And we started saying at the end of our videos, what do you want us to do next week? A, this, or B, or we'd have like a poll with like 4 or 5 options. And then the people would vote on their favorite option. And whichever one got the most number of votes, we would go and do that. And so one of them one week was body paint a swimsuit and hit the beach. And we're in Vietnam, and we're just like, body paint a swimsuit. Like, I don't even think that one was our idea. I think another fan had like put it up, and everyone voted for it. And we're just like, oh man, we need to start filtering these, because like they could put anything they wanted. But that's what we would do. And so that's where the Vietnamese sand tiger came from. Instead of doing a swimsuit, we painted Ryker like a tiger, and we created this scene on the beach chasing this tiger and like tiger hunting this guy. And it was super goofy, but it was like tons of fun. And, I hadn't seen anything like that on YouTube before. So we were giving the audience the opportunity to choose what our next video was going to be whilst traveling, whilst in a foreign country where we don't speak the language. We like, people looked at us like we were crazy because, chasing this tiger around. We've got a motorcycle on the beach, on the sand, with a stick going to hit this guy dressed up as a tiger. And we did this for a number of weeks. Eventually it kind of fell flat because we just couldn't keep up with, because the thing is, we'd give it like 3 days or something, and then we'd have our top picks from the audience, and then we'd have another 3 days to prepare for it and film it, and then like 1 day to edit it and post it. So it was like super hard to keep up with because we had to wait for that buffer for people to vote on their stuff. But again, once we, did like the American road trip around the world a few years later, around the States, we basically made that interactive as well. And it was like, okay, we're right now driving south to Seattle. We're going to get to Seattle, and then we have 2 options. We can either go to this place or we can go to this place. Put your vote in. What do you think? And now we're able to put polls properly in. You can embed them into YouTube, which you couldn't do back in the day. And so now we're having like live polls that people are voting on the daily. And we were doing daily videos. We had our editor with us on the van. And so like we're just utilizing these different things and techniques that actually get the fans engaged and knowing that they literally are affecting our travels. They are the reason we're doing what we're doing in this next video because of what they've collectively voted for. And I think that was like a huge thing for people, being like, I can't believe I have this ability to influence what these guys are doing. And I can't believe that these guys are okay with that. Like, so I just think the fact that we connected with the audience in that way and said, hey, you know what, we're going to work with you guys. You guys tell us what to do. And if enough of you want that, then that's what we'll do. And we'll do our best and make it entertaining and show you what it is. Or, we can either go to Miami or we can go to whatever, the Keys.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you mentioned your editor, Josh, there. How, like, by the end of it, like, you guys probably had a pretty dialed in process for creating on the go, right? Like, I can imagine that first trip, it was probably, like you kind of mentioned a little bit there with the 3-day turnaround for the poll, another 3 days to set it up, and then a day to edit. Like, it must have been a grind to film, edit everything on the go, right?
I don't think that our team has ever been busier than we were on that road trip. And it was very difficult to coordinate a lot of the time because I don't know if you've done a lot of editing before, but for anyone listening, editing is a lengthy process. And the more cameras that people are using and the more footage you're getting and the more drones that are in the air filming makes your job that much more complicated or just lengthy in time. And like, let's be honest, Josh was very good. He is an amazing editor, and we are lucky to have had him on our team when we did. But he was doing daily edits. So we would film basically until it got dark, and then we'd drop the footage on him. And so he would start his edit like 8 or 9 at night. and generally edit until like 4 or 5 in the morning and then sleep. And then we'd wake up, the video was posted basically, or we'd have to drive somewhere where there was internet. We'd go to a Starbucks or something, pop on their Wi-Fi for a little bit, upload it, and then we would continue our drive. And then we'd get the cameras out. Josh is sleeping, we're driving, we start filming, we get to our next destination, we keep going, drop it all on him at like 9 p.m. He starts again. So he wanted to also be awake for a lot of the places that we were going to, but he had this job of editing throughout the night, and it was like, it was tough. So he missed out on a lot of things. And, you know, we obviously did our best to try to cater to him as well, and not take so long. Like we kind of started putting timers on ourselves to be like, let's finish filming by 7, get everything to him dropped and uploaded onto the computer by 7:30. And that'll at least, you know, shave off an hour and a half or whatever for him. And so we tried a few different techniques, but like it was nonstop action. It was tough.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure, like, looking after kind of going back through everything just the other day, I'm pretty sure like those videos on that road trip just progressively got shorter and shorter and shorter. I think they started like 15, 17. And by the end of the trip, they're like 7, 8, 9 minute videos. Like they just kind of got shorter as that road trip went on, which I'm just imagining is probably a byproduct of just being on the road and editing for, I think you guys were over 100 days you guys were gone, I'm pretty sure, or something like that.
It was, no, 75.
75. Okay.
75 days, 2.5 months. I actually had never thought about that our videos got shorter and shorter, but that would totally make sense. I also think that, you know, Josh, you know, after 30, 40, 50 days is able to be like, okay, this introduction stuff is needed. This stuff is pointless. I can just cut all of this. Here's some good stuff. Here's some good stuff. This is how I'm going to edit it together. And he just stopped thinking about whether or not we need to put this in or not. He was like, nah, I've got enough. And we also didn't want the videos to be really longer than 10 minutes. 10 minutes was good. That was what we were aiming for the most part. We didn't want it to be lengthy and boring, but we also wanted it to be like a fair bit. And we had a lot of people reaching out to us saying like, you guys need to make these 20 minutes. Like we want more every single time. We're doing this daily. Are you kidding me? We can't just make it twice as long right now. Like we're doing our best. But yeah, Josh certainly got into a flow with the edits, and he was able to just work his magic and keep them shorter, down to 10 minutes kind of thing.
And was that road trip, was that when you guys first got your drone?
We had a couple of drones before that road trip. We had probably done like 2 years of droning before that. So I think the Phantom 2 maybe was the first one that we had, where you actually connect your GoPro to it and fly it around. And we crashed that one a number of times as the guys were learning how to fly them. And we picked up a few new ones. We went through so many drones actually in the course of our lives. As you see, like you type in YouTube drone fails, like everyone does. But we were no different. But that trip we had a fair bit. We were actually, I would say we were good at flying drones when we did that trip. And I mean, the footage is pretty unreal. We did some really good flying, and maybe some risky stuff too, where maybe shouldn't have technically been flying there. But
Yeah, but like I think because that's when I first really discovered you guys was on that road trip. Like right at the beginning of that road trip is when I would have stumbled onto the channel, and like I think that it was you guys and Casey Neistat when I realized like drones were an accessible thing now. Like you guys were doing those shots along like the Pacific Coast Highway with like the drone over the water onto the bus, and that was just the first time I realized that drones were like an accessible thing now. And like people could actually just go and buy one of these and do these. Like you didn't need a helicopter to shoot a crazy aerial shot for a YouTube video or anything. That's why I was just curious about the drone specifically. But I think it was after that trip when you guys started to kind of get into you mentioned earlier with Simple Pickup, the digital products, right? Like I know it started with, I think it was social media growth first and then long-term travel second, right? Like that was the 2 courses you guys had.
yeah, Instagram first, IG Millions was the first one. And then it was Jet Setter Boss, like how to get paid to travel the world, basically. And that started off because obviously along the way we're interacting with our audience, and they're asking questions and we're answering as best we can. But we were getting a lot of certain questions that kept coming up, the repeaters of like, how do I do what you guys are doing? How are you guys making money doing this? Like, I don't understand this world and how you can afford to keep doing this. for the longest time, everyone was like, these guys are trust fund babies. They were born into money. Their parents are loaded. That's why they can do all this stuff. And that was not the farthest thing from the truth. Like, none of our parents were any wealthier than mediocre finances. Like, we were all super middle class. Nothing fancy about that lifestyle we had growing up. We just took advantage of opportunities that worked and that actually made it seem like we were rich. There was one video we did, a Gangnam Style parody in the height of Gangnam Style, and we got off a small plane in Italy, I think, but we made sure to be the last ones off the plane so that Alexey went down first after where everyone else had disembarked, and then Ryker and I came off, and we like did our little dance, like walking off the plane. We were the only ones there, so people saw it and were like, "These guys have their own jet? Like, what the hell?" So it was just the way that we made it look that people were like, "These guys are so loaded," and that was never at all the case. Okay, where was I before this? Digital products, right? So one of the questions that kept coming up: how do you guys do this? How do you make money doing this thing? And we had also talked to this YouTube creator guy who told us the top tens are successful. I think he also might have mentioned like teaching people how to grow on Instagram and stuff like would do well, or maybe it was in conversation. But Alexey had gotten into Vine, and Vine had this crazy community of Viners, which were doing shout out for shout out, revine for revine, all this like jargon that was new in the world. And so Alexey started learning it and started getting good at it. And he understood SEO from his past work and stuff. And so he started seeing what everyone was doing and how they were doing it, looked at like who are the best of the best doing this and what are they doing and why and how. And so he self-taught because that's his thing. He teaches himself. He doesn't need school. He can just do it with the internet. So he teaches himself how to do this, and he starts playing this Revine shout out for shout out game. And he grows our High on Life Vine page to be like one of the top 50 in the world or something out of like the millions that there were. And he was just on his phone all the time, hustling and like working these timelines and these deals with other people and doing this thing. And like, in honesty, kind of sucked to hang out with him because he was just never not in his phone, just like this, right? So then Vine shuts down, it flops. He starts to take this over to Instagram, and the same thing applies. You have your little community of people who do shout outs for shout outs, and like you just grow off of each other. Instagram didn't have the ability to revine your friends, but you could just meet up with friends and do videos together. And that way your channel sees their channel, and their fans see one another and grow that way. So he had spent whatever, a year and a half learning this process with Vine that had now kicked the bucket, and he's doing it with Instagram, and realized that this was a topic that was going to get a lot of views on YouTube. A lot of people want to know how to grow your Instagram. Everyone wants to know it. And Alexey's killing it. He's flourishing at this right now. I think at this point now we started coming up with other side pages that were not High on Life that we were growing ourselves just to see what we could do. And so now we have, Wanderlust and Travelgram and technology, and I think we might have picked up like a weed one and grown like a ganja or something in there, and like we had all these other ones. Jet Setter Boss was another one, and we just grew these channels on our own because he knew how to do this game. And so he made YouTube videos on how to do it. And one of the I think the goal that he was aiming for was how to hit 100K followers in 48 hours. And so he made this video showing how he did it. Now, not anyone can just see the video and do it the way he did, because he had already established contacts in different areas, and he already had his shout out groups that he was familiar with. But he showed the process and how to do it. And that opened up, well, we got a shit ton of views on those videos because everyone was like, oh my God, this guy's doing it and he's showing us how to do it. But then all the questions came in about, hey, I don't have this brand set up the way you do. Like, can I still do it with this style? Or, hey, I don't have all these guys that I'm able to talk to that you seem to know. Like, what do I do about this now? And blah, blah, blah. And so with all these questions coming in, we're like, we need to teach people again. Let's make a digital product that is like fully loaded, tells every little bit, all these different modules on how to get from A to B and what to avoid. And like, we can really go in depth if we do a digital product. Plus, we want to teach people. We've been teaching people what we're doing and how we're doing it for years now. And we're not shy about it. Like, it's not like our secret. We won't tell you. Like, we want to share this with the world. Like, we're very happy to do that. So we started the IG Millions course, and then shortly after they had created that one, they wanted to do the Jet Setter Boss course, which was more close to home for us, which was like, how do we get paid to travel the world, to see what we're seeing and to go places and to work with brands. And so we created this huge digital product about that, and we linked up with some guys that, you know, had done a lot of these things before and were like really key assets in building this product for us. And that's how that whole thing started, was just like, the more we learned, the more we shared, the more people wanted more information. The more people wanted more information, the more we were like, let's create something that'll give them the answers. And, you know, now that it's a digital product, we can charge for it and make a couple bucks.
Yeah.
You know,
And
business.
neither of those courses are still active, right?
That's correct. Neither of them are still active. Jet Setter Boss had some heavy um, potential, but there was an accident and the guys passed away, and everything totally flipped upside down for High on Life once that happened.
Mhm. And like, I don't want to, I don't want to talk about the accident or anything, but I more so want to talk about kind of the legacy those two guys have left. Like, what has their impact today still? Because like, I remember watching the videos, and you can still go back and watch the videos. Like, their legacy still lives on. It's like, what is the legacy that they have left?
Well, High on Life really was the dream. They wanted this, and they had a number of things that they wanted to still create. Like, one of the goals was to have an actual fantasy factory, like a warehouse in Vancouver somewhere, where you had a group of people doing various things. So if you wanted to sit and edit and learn editing, you could do that. There was a group of people doing edits at all times. If you needed like a big green screen or a white screen, we have that set up in the other corner. If you want to like put a skateboarding ramp in somewhere and like do some skateboarding and film it, make a video, go for it. We've got the space for it. Like, you get thirsty, there's a fridge over here. And like, it's just this huge space where we could work and make our own videos, but we could also have other up and coming creators coming and learning and seeing what we're doing, having a space to do it, and just like growing. Anyone can come and grow and like join this community that we've established. That's what we wanted to do. The whole purpose of us learning and pioneering all this stuff eventually was to teach others and to share it with the world. And I mean, we had done that with everything we had learned thus far. We just never really acquired the capital to like buy a warehouse in Vancouver. Vancouver is a pretty expensive place. So that was still on the back burner of our goals. But nonetheless, High on Life, man, it was about feeling good and about, you know, not letting anything stop you. And, you know, the whole like dance like nobody's watching. Like, don't care about anything else on the side. Like, you do you be yourself, you have fun, you know, be respectful and courteous along the way, but like, don't let anyone talk you out of something or tell you that you can't do it. Like, Ryker was really big on, there's no such thing as you can't. Like, you can do anything. What do you want to do? There's a way. Like, you just got to figure it out. You got to learn it. The guys never stopped striving to keep learning stuff and to keep bettering themselves, and to keep growing and leveling up and 10xing. Um, so the legacy really is in simple terms, traveling and having fun. Just having fun traveling and not letting anything get you down or hold you back, to be limitless, if you will. The thing that's challenging really right now, and I'm sure you're going to ask about it, is what is High on Life now? What is it looking like? What's the status of our brand, of our page? So we don't have the team together like we used to. We did kind of come up with a decision that we're going to keep High on Life going shortly after the guy's death, but we could only do that for so long before other people are like, all right, look, there's so many crazy implications with the guy's passing. There's other debts that need to be dealt with. The parents are now involved with all this stuff. Plus, it's like the most heart-wrenching thing because they've lost their children. We're dealing with coroners and with graveyard businesses to set all this stuff up, and it's just like super super heavy. Plus, there was, going back to the end of the road trip, we had gotten into some legal trouble because the guys walked off the boardwalk at Yellowstone. So we had kind of done this huge road trip around the States, spent all of our money that we had on that, more or less. And then anything that we had left over was spent on lawyer fees, because we needed to, defend ourselves for why we walked off the boardwalk at the national park. And so we were really like pretty low on funds at the time. And then this Jet Setter Boss was going to come out, and then it was just coming out, and we started making some sales. And then that incident happened shortly thereafter. And so we kind of weren't able to keep up with Jet Setter Boss. And so now money was a bit of an issue. And now, the passion had taken a turn for the worse, because we're super sad about the loss that we're all dealing with. And then, we've got people trying to fill in different positions, and, Alexey and Ryker could work at the level of 4 people. So to have people try to fill in their shoes was just about impossible to do. And then, people within our group were kind of like seeing a different vision for different things. And we had a tough time coming to consensus and agreement on some of the things that we want to do or how we want to move forward. And so it became like a bit of a struggle amongst ourselves. And we kind of took a step back and said, okay, look, would the guys want us stressing over this or fighting over how we see this going? No, absolutely not. And I had spent a lot of time talking to some different people who were sort of mentors to me, and getting their opinions on things. And what it came down to was like, High on Life really was created because of the relationship that the 3 or 4 of us had. It was how we worked together and how we were able to find a new opportunity and then just hit it headlong, and how funny it was watching us communicate with one another and bicker and work things out and problem solve and play off each other's whatever interests or things. And we no longer had that. So at the beginning of this year, I was making weekly videos for High on Life for 3 months just by myself, which was tough. A, I'm not very good at editing, so like that was challenging. B, I'm not as fast. C, I don't have extra hands to help me film and make videos. And then D, we had COVID. We were on lockdown, and I'm trying to make videos and create content for a travel brand when no one's allowed to go anywhere. So like, yeah, obviously I did a few like, well, let's see local, let's travel around. I've got access to Whistler. I've got access to different mountains. I've got the ocean. I've got forests. Like I live in a pretty sweet place to at least give it a try. When it's wintertime, like, I can go to snow. I can go to like 4 feet of snow if I want to. And it's allowed because it's within my own region. But it just became too much of a headache, too much of a hassle. The page had been sort of dormant for a long time because after the deaths, nobody was really keen on like being chipper and happy and like portraying this energy that we're supposed to be exuding. So it just went on hold for a while. And then in terms of it coming back, like I have access to the channel. I want to keep creating for the channel. And I've only just recently started hanging out with other like-minded creators, and like a lot of them. So I'm under the impression that in the next few months, I'll probably get things back rolling again. I don't know entirely what that's going to look like or how it's going to change. The legacy is going to be there, and what we want to achieve and what we want to present with our content is going to be the same, but it's going to have to be different characters, different personalities. I don't know if, there needs to be a bit of a rebrand because of it, how much has changed. So there's a lot of things that I really need to sit and think about. And obviously I've got the other guys still available and still around to brainstorm with and to shoot some ideas back and forth with, but also a lot of the other people are, they're doing their own thing now. They need a source of income, and High on Life wasn't it at that time. So now they're doing their own stuff, and they don't have the time to commit to, living together and creating content on the daily. Like it's just not feasible. So a lot of changes have been put in place and have to continue to happen before we can really get things going again. But like, I spent 15 years of my life pouring my heart and soul into High on Life with the boys. and I I don't want to just let it go. I don't want to just give up on it. I think it's a positive thing. I think it's changed a lot of people's lives. We've had the feedback that, people are having a shitty day. They watch our videos and they feel great, and they've shared that with us. We've had so many people share stories about what high on life means to them and how it's affected them for the better. And like, I don't ever want that to change. I want to keep being able to have that influence on people and to improve their lives, or even just the day. If I make your day better with the videos that I'm making, I want to keep doing that for people. Like, that's what it comes down to. So I don't see it stopping anytime soon, like forever, but some changes have to be made. And COVID obviously put a big wedge in the side of that.
Of course. I have a couple things from that. One, thank you for sharing that. Obviously, I know it can't be easy, so I appreciate you being willing to share that. The second thing I'll say is when with the space that was the original plan, I think that's just cool because from where we started this podcast, you were talking about how when you guys were learning acrobatics and stuff, it was in an open gym, which was so you were kind of making the equivalent of that open gym, but for creators. I think that full circle is really cool. The third thing I was going to say is you were talking about with bringing the channel back and maybe some new faces. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was always the long-term plan for the channel. Like I listened to an interview that you did early 2018 and you were talking about even at that point kind of wanting to settle down and having some new faces on the channel to almost kind of take that mantle. So like I think that's still within like it was within the plans with High on Life even back in the day, not just something that's being thought of now, if I'm not mistaken.
Was that Incrementum, the podcast?
What do you mean? Pardon?
Incrementum.
It was I don't remember.
It might have. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
It was a podcast where you were traveling at the time, and it was like a podcast, but there was no mics. It was like I think you were recording on a GoPro or something like that, and it was literally someone you met on a trip. I'm pretty sure, and you recorded it sitting at like a table.
Yep. Yep. I know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So we had all, we were in our 30s when the guys passed. So at this point, we've got long-term relationships each that are getting more and more serious. We're going to want to settle down, and we can't just keep traveling forever. Eventually we got to settle down and we got to pass on the reins to the future generations. So what we were sort of visualizing was ideally having another group of people, maybe a little bit more diverse. It doesn't have to be like 4 dudes anymore. We don't want to put on any more of that like bro vibe, which we had for so many years, wearing singlets or like going to a sunny place and being topless and surfing or doing cliff jumping. And like for a lot of the time we were in hot places and we weren't wearing shirts, and it gave us this like bro sort of a dynamic. We didn't really want that. So we wanted to introduce new people that had the energy and the passion and motivation and drive to like learn things and do stuff and do different flips. And let's be honest, man, kids these days, the flips are unreal. Kids are doing stuff that I didn't think was even possible. People can do standing double backflips on flat ground. Like, I can't believe that's even possible, but go on YouTube and people are doing it. So we wanted to find some people who were hungry, who were skilled, who could take the reins over for us, and we could just work the back end, and we could do, behind the scenes, behind the cameras, whatever. That was the dream. So it was to get new people in one way or another. So yes, I just got to figure out how we're going to do that and who it's going to be. And there's so much that I still have to set up, and it's going to take a bit of time, but that's the end goal. Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that because I've people who are listening to this might be like, well, you can't you can't have new faces, but I just want to put that out there. That was always the game plan, was to have those new faces on the channel.
Yes, that was the game plan, to have new faces, but it was also important to have the dynamic of personalities. That's what a big portion of it was. So you can't just be like a couple new dull people going on a trip. Like, you've got to be fun and exciting and entertaining, and ideally you can do some flips or handstands or whatever. That's the goal. But at the same time, it's like so much has shifted since the event and the incident that it's like there was a long time where I couldn't really focus on what I didn't have a clear vision anymore, because I was just like kind of overwhelmed with emotions and things and whatever. So It's slowly coming back, and it's been a few years now, and obviously I've grown and I've learned and I've come to terms with a lot of the stuff that's happened, but um, I wasn't really the entrepreneur that the other two were. Like Ryker and Alexey were like so good at what they did, and they were limitless in what they could learn and what they could do, and they were just nonstop. So it's like it's really hard for me to try to keep up with what they were doing because they were just too good. They were so hardworking and so solid that it's going to take a little extra time.
Mhm. And I appreciate your time. I know we're way over here, so I'm going to get to kind of my last couple of questions. How often, I mean, like other than of course this podcast, like how often do you take the time to kind of look back and reflect on everything? Back to those open gyms when you guys were going to gymnastics, or back to when you're dancing, like you're learning to dance like you're high on life in that apartment on that hungover, not quite hungover morning. Like how often do you just look back on everything?
Not often, but definitely here and there. Um, I guess based on the way you've phrased it, I don't look at like everything. Certain things pop up based on certain scenarios. And it's really easy for me to be doing something and have it trigger a memory, a specific one that brings me back into that timeline where I can just sit and be like, yeah, this is what we were doing back then. This was a good time. And if I want to really relive it, I've got 500 videos that I have access to throughout the course of our lives that I can literally go in and be in that and see what we were literally doing and saying and what we sounded like at the time, which is really cool. I've definitely gotten more into, spirituality and meditation. So I sit and I focus on stuff here and there, but I wouldn't say that I particularly put a lot of time into like just looking over our lives. I mean, over the last couple of years, I have done that a lot, but like right now, it's usually something will trigger a memory or something will make me think about a specific thing that I want to really remember or focus on. And when that time comes, I can sit and meditate on it, or I'll just watch some old videos and just go back to what we were literally doing at the time, because we've documented so much of our life during that time that I have the ability to do that. And it's really a blessing. A lot of people used to ask us, is it is it kind of annoying that you go and travel and you see these new places, but you're working and you have to focus on the camera and you have to see everything through the lens and like you're not really present? And it's like, no, that's not how it works. You are present, but you have to share it with being busy and doing this. Doesn't mean you miss out on seeing it. You're still seeing it. You're still there. But now you can do it again whenever you want because you have that for life. I've got a box of terabytes. I must have like 30 terabytes just in the other room right there that has our whole lives on it. And like I wouldn't trade that in for anything. So when people ask, is it really worth it to be filming everything when you're not really present and living in the moment when you're there? Yeah, it's worth it. Absolutely it is. Like, not that many people are going to have a scenario where they lose all their friends in a freak accident, but the fact that this content is all here and stuff, like I'm so grateful that I still have it. I'm so grateful that we put our time and energy into creating this, and that it's helped other people and it's benefited other people and stuff. It really holds a place in my heart.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, I've sporadically vlogged kind of throughout my life. Like, I'll go through phases where I'll vlog for like a couple months and then it'll die off, and then I'll start again a couple months later. And the first time I ever started vlogging would have been around the time I started watching you guys. I was on a big travel creator kick. So it was you guys, Ben Brown, Fun for Louie, Casey Neistat was in there, of course. But like, I started vlogging for the first time when I started watching you guys. So I even like to go back and watch those old videos of myself. It's just cool to kind of see, to be able to go back to your point and relive those moments that like, so again, you watch them, I don't even remember the way things happened as they are in the video. So it's cool to kind of be brought back in time with those moments. I think that's just one of the coolest things about vlogging. I think like so many, like I don't think you can vlog for channel growth as much anymore, but like just vlogging to have those memories, I think is the best part about it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're watching Fun for Louie and Casey Neistat, like these guys are doing dailies for a long time. Like I don't Fun for Louie especially, like almost always by himself creating daily. Like I don't know how these guys are really keeping up with it, but at the same time, it works because the audience knows any single day that I go to their channel, it's new content of them every single day of their life. And there was a huge appeal for that. So like, I hope you weren't trying to do the dailies, because that's a hell of a way to start learning vlogging, is doing daily videos.
Yeah, no, never daily, never. I can't even keep up with weekly, so I just I do it whenever I have
Yeah.
the urge or the desire, and like I'm not trying to grow it, so I just do it. If something cool, like I just haven't vlogged in COVID, like me in my apartment every day doing the same thing's not very exciting. But if I'm ever doing anything, I usually try and bring a camera or just my phone or whatever, bring it
Actually,
around.
yeah, that's one thing I wanted to mention to you. Travel is going to be opening up again soon. And my partner is Kiwi. So she hasn't seen her friends and family in quite a long time. So I will be going to New Zealand, I don't know, maybe by the end of this year, as soon as we're able to. Once we get my second vaccine and stuff, apparently you have to be vaccinated to go in. So I got to finish that process off. But when I go to New Zealand, she's going to be showing me, her hometown, her homeland, everything around New Zealand that she thinks is really cool and worth seeing. And then her sister and brother-in-law and their kids are in Australia, so I'll be doing Australia as well. And we've got plans to maybe get a van and do the entire Gold Coast, which is something that Ryker did way back in the day. So we have some like major travel plans in the near future, and I think it's pretty much a perfect opportunity to start doing a bit of vlogging and maybe getting High on Life back in gear. And that's going to be ideally before the year is over. So I have definitely got my head around potential footage and content for the end of this year. I've certainly got the personality still. Nothing has changed within me. I've got the energy. I've kept up with all my flips and my handstands and my balance. Like I can do it all. If anything, I'm just more knowledgeable now, and I know more in life and know how to share. And I've still got that personality that works on camera. And so I think I'm going to start there. Once we get out of Vancouver for the first time in a couple of years, I'm going to be filming and recording, and I'm going to be sharing with the world, and we'll get that going again as best I can.
That's exciting. And is this your first time to Australia? Like the original plan was to start in Australia. Is this going to be your first time there?
I've still not been. It's been 10 years of planning it. I've purchased tickets to Australia twice. Twice I've purchased tickets to go and never was able to. The last one was right before COVID. I was going to go see her family, and then lockdown.
Yeah. It's
So
going to be exciting to finally get there.
third time's a charm, hopefully.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I thank you again for taking the time to be in the podcast. Before I let you go, I'm going to ask you the same question I ask everyone at the end of every interview. And so instead of me asking the question, it's you asking the question, but it's not to me. So pretend you have a crystal ball, and you can ask this crystal ball any question. You'll get the 100% honest answer. What is one question you want to know the answer to?
I feel like if I had more time, I could come up with something really like meaningful. But off the top of my head, I want to, what does the future look like in 10 years? What are things going to look like a little bit down the line when I'm still around? How is technology going to change? What things will become obsolete in the near future that we had no idea? Like 10 years ago, things were very different than they are now. And I'm sure in the next 10 years, there's going to be even more changes. The ability to keep up with how society is changing and how technology is changing. If you can do that in advance, that's a recipe for success right there. But also because of COVID, our world has been so different just in the last 2 years. Last time this happened 100 years ago, we had the Roaring '20s, which like really changed the world. I could see something like that happening again here. I'm sure a lot of people have this like itch to go out and live life and to whatever. I would want to know, what does the world look like in 10 years, kind of thing. I feel like that's a boring answer, but that's my question to the crystal ball.
No, that's fair. It's a big question to ask right at the end. And it always is usually that moment of silence after that question when people try to think. So,
Yeah, right. I bet.
yeah. But no, dude, seriously, thank you so much for taking time to be on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I want to give you the floor. Where can the people find you? Plug anything and everything you got right now.
I'm gonna keep it really simple. I'm only starting, like I took a big break from social media for a while. I just kind of wanted to get off the phone and the computer for a while and just be out in the world, living my life. My girlfriend works at home nonstop, and so she's always staring at a screen. At the end of the night, we're watching TV. Like I just wanted to get out of digital for a little while. But now that it's summer and now that I've made a bunch of creator friends, I'm starting to get back into it. So you know what? I'm hoping to start being way more active on Instagram and probably, as I said, start up the YouTube thing again. And I've still got the High on Life's YouTube that I haven't posted on in a while that I'd like to start posting more content on. So at High on Life is the High on Life page that, fingers crossed, we'll start getting new content soon. My own personal is at Parker Heuser, Heuser. And I'm probably going to be posting regularly / daily from now on because it's summer and I'm doing more stuff. And our YouTube is High on Life. You know, that's on hold right now, but you can still find all of our old content there. And there's like we've talked about, like 7 years worth of stuff at least, or 8 years now. So if you wanted to know any of the parts that we were talking about today, I'm pretty sure there's a video on it. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to do too much blasting of how you can find us.
100%. I'll make sure it's all linked in the show notes down below so everyone can find it.
That's the easiest way. Just link it.
Yeah, it'll all be down there. But no, I want to thank you once again for taking time to be on the podcast. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank everybody for listening, whether you've listened the entire way through or you only listen to bits and pieces. I really appreciate you taking time to check this out. Everyone, do me a big favor. Go and follow Parker. Go and subscribe to High on Life. Like I said, it'll all be linked in the show notes down below so you can find it. And if you'd like to follow me, you can find me everywhere on social media at the Jacob Kelly. Feel free to come and say hello. My DMs are always open. As always, today's podcast is powered by TrueFan. Thank you once again for listening, everybody. We'll talk soon.
Congratulations on 146, Jacob.